same. I can't see. No, guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So I decided to start a new series on my channel where we pick a Disney Channel movie or show or whatever it may be, and I'm going to try to present you guys with 7 things you probably don't know about that thing. And I'm sure you can all figure out where that lovely title was inspired by. It's pretty obvious. But yeah, so I decided to start off with the legend that is High School Musical. You know, New Year's just passed, and so I figured it'd be the perfect start to the series. So let's just jump right into it. So I've been researching the past 3 days, but there's obviously no way that I will be able to present to you something that, like, I'm sure some of you will know some of the things I'm about to say. But like I said, I have been trying really, really hard to find new things. Like, as a High School Musical fan myself, I was trying to find things I didn't already know, but there's also some facts that I just love and I feel like everyone needs to know. So that's why I'm going to do 7 things you probably didn't know, and as well as 3 things that you probably did know. So starting right off with number 1. So the writer of all 3 movies, his name is Peter Barsocchini, I think is how you pronounce his last name, I'm not really sure. Anyways, he wrote all 3 films, which kind of explains why they're all like pretty much the same plot line. But he actually named the character Gabriella after his own daughter, which is really interesting. And apparently some of her friends as well were also some of the names that were, like, their names are also used to inspire some of the names in the movie as well. Another thing that's interesting about Peter is that the Disney Channel wanted to set High School Musical in middle school, but Peter was like, no, nobody's going to want to watch that. It has to be high school. So moving on to number 2, Ashley Tisdale said in an interview back in 2006, after High School Musical came out, that she wasn't even planning on auditioning. She said that a lot of people thought that because of her role on The Sweet Life that she just automatically got the role, but that was not the case. She said she had to go in the day before they screen tested, which was a lot of work because she had to learn everything overnight, which was a big deal because the way that they ran the High School Musical auditions were very Broadway style. They had to sing, act, and dance, and it was really intense, unlike other Disney Channel auditions at the time, especially if you were auditioning for a role that required you to play basketball, because that meant that you had to go through the sports audition as well. So moving on to number 3, when the cast first appeared on Good Morning America shortly after the success of the first film, they were introducing each of the cast members, and the host pronounced Zac Efron's name wrong.
We have the entire cast here from High School Musical. I'll introduce him to you right now. Zac Efron.
I just found that to be absolutely hilarious, and once I saw it, I knew I had to include it because it's so crazy to think that someone would pronounce Zac Efron's name wrong, like with how big he is now. It was just insane, and I had to include it. Okay, so moving on to number 4. So I found online that they used to have a yawn jar when they were on set. So whenever, if a cast member or employee yawned, they would have to put some money into the jar as like a way to discourage sleepiness, I guess. I don't know, I find the whole thing to be a bit much, but it's actually nice because at the end they donated all the money to Make-A-Wish, and so that's really sweet. So number 5, you may already know if you stumble across High School Musical videos on YouTube, but I had no idea these videos existed until I was doing research for this video. So Zac Efron, during the filming of the first film, had like video logs throughout the shooting, and they're the best thing ever, and you have to go watch them. I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen them. But yeah, they're pretty great because they're all so young, and they're all calling it the High School Musical. Like, it's great. Go watch it. So Lucas Gabriel, you might know that he's also on another DCOM, which was before High School Musical. It was his first gig. I guess, do you call acting jobs gigs? I don't know. But it was Halloweentown High. And he actually worked at Blockbuster before he got the job on Halloweentown, and afterwards as well. So you'd say that kids would like come in and say, hey, you kind of look like this guy in the movie. And you'd be like, oh, well, that's me. Like, people wouldn't think that some guy working at Blockbuster would be in this Disney Channel movie. And yeah, what's also great about him working on Halloweentown was that it was the same costume director on Halloweentown as High School Musical, which is actually why Ryan wears so much hats, because he remembered Ryan looking good in hats in Halloweentown, and so that's what made him put him in hats in High School Musical. So I guess that's what we have Halloweentown to thank for Ryan's amazing hats. Okay, so the last fact I have for you guys is actually my personal favorite. So Kenny Ortega is a type of director that really like fed off of everyone's ideas. He was constantly asking for the actors' opinions and bouncing off their ideas with his own. Like, for example, the whole Jazz Square bit in What I've Been Looking For was all Lucas Gabriel's idea. Like, he created that, and it was so great. Like, only Kenny Ortega is the type of director that would have been able to create a scene like that. He would oftentimes just keep the camera running because he felt like that's when the like genuine unscripted moments would happen. But it wasn't even just in acting and dance. Like Kenny Ortega would also encourage their creativity elsewhere. Like Ashley Tisdale was really passionate about fashion, and so she got to pick a lot of Sharpay's outfits, and like Chad with his t-shirts were all him, and like the one scene in the beginning where he's got the 3 watches on his wrist, like that was because Corbin Bleu couldn't decide which one to wear and thought it would be funny if Chad wore all 3. And like it's just little things like that where you see an artist and he's bouncing ideas off other people. Like a lot of times they wouldn't listen to like 15 and 16-year-old kids and their ideas, whereas Kenny Ortega knew when there was talent there, and I just love it. I love art. It's great. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now for the 3 that you probably do know but are just the best, and I have to talk about them. So number 1 is that High School Musical was actually just the working title for the movie. They had not decided what they wanted the story to be called yet, and so they were just using High School Musical or The High School Musical as what they were recalling it during production. But then they actually ended up liking that name and chose it for the actual final, which is great because I don't know what I would do if High School Musical was not called High School Musical. Like, that's just crazy to think about. Okay, so this next one is literally the best of all time, and if you don't already know this, well, I'm sure you do. I know everybody already knows this. The cat's kind of out of the bag by now. But if you don't, I'm very happy that I am the one that gets to let you know that Zac Efron's singing voice in the first High School Musical is not Zac Efron. It is a lovely man by the name of Drew Seeley, and I just think it's hilarious. I mean, little me had no idea that that was not Zac Efron singing in the first film. And like, I remember when they did the High School Musical tour and it was Drew Seeley, and I was just like distraught. Like, how could they replace Zac Efron? Like, I had no idea that he wasn't the one singing. And it's funny because even after the first film, there was this one interview with Zac Efron where he's discussing how he's debating taking a music deal with Psycho Records, which is Simon Cowell's record company. And it's just funny because like, it's not even him singing in the movie, but they still offered him a record deal. I mean, he can still sing. We obviously know that from this next 2 movies. And the only reason why they didn't use Zac's real singing voice in the first film is because they felt like it was a bit too low for how they wanted Troy to sound. And I guess it makes sense, but it's just funny. Speaking of, they actually offered all of the main cast members record contracts with Hollywood Records, but the only 2 people that took it was Vanessa and Corbin Bleu. Ashley Tisdale took a record deal with Warner Bros. Because she felt like that would appeal to older audiences, which is funny because like, I remember being little and like still listening to Ashley Tisdale, like Headstrong and her second album, Guilty Pleasure. I remember I had that CD, and it was like probably not the most appropriate thing for me to be listening to at like 10 years old, but it was Ashley Tisdale, so of course I was going to listen to it. Like, it doesn't matter who you're signed to. I thought that was funny. Okay, moving on. And so lastly, we've got one of the best things about this film, which is Ryan and how he is probably very gay, and Lucas agreed with that as well. He said that he remembers having a talk with Kenny Ortega back during the production of High School Musical about how, like, Ryan's gay, right? And Kenny's like, well, you gotta think about in high school. Would you be coming out while you're in high school? And Lucas was like, hey, probably not. But he's gay, right? But basically, he just tried to say, like, act how Ryan would if he was still in the closet. And I just think that's amazing. And then apparently in the third film, he tried to convince Kenny to let him be gay, but then instead we got a forced love interest with Kelsey. But I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, Ryan and Kelsey did have somewhat of a chemistry because they did work together previously on Halloweentown. But it just would have been so great. Could you imagine if Ryan was like came out as gay? That would have been amazing. But unfortunately, Disney Channel was not ready for that yet. But that is all I have to say for today. That's all the facts I have been able to scavenge around for you guys. If you learned something, that is awesome. Yay! That was my goal. If you already knew all these things, I guess you got to prove your High School Musical fan status. Let me know down in the comments which movie or show you think I should do next. Like if you want me to do High School Musical 2 or Lemonade Mouth or Liv and Maddie. I don't know. Whatever you guys want to do, I will do it. I was thinking about Descendants, or who knows? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I want to know what you guys think, so let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and maybe subscribe to my channel because I post lots of Disney videos, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Goodbye!
Zac Efron